This is the second video on the VLOOKUP function. We're going to take a look at some more examples of using VLOOKUP here. In the first video we looked at an example of how to look up a letter grade here using a numeric grade. And I've got some more tabs down here, and we're going to go through all the examples on these tabs down here. Okay, so the first example, let's delete that here. The first example is we're going to look up a part number. The part number here is in column A. And we're going to use that part number to either look up the name of the part, or the price of the part, or the status. Okay, so the part name will be column 2 of the table, the part price will be column 3, and the status will be column 4 of the table. So I want to look up the part price. So let's go to my formulas tab here. Let's go to lookup and reference and go down to the bottom here and pick VLOOKUP. And the value I want to look up is the part number right here. So if somebody's using the spreadsheet, would just type in whatever part number they wanted here. The table array is here. You don't include headings when you're doing VLOOKUP. Yeah, but you do want to make it, well, actually in this case it doesn't matter if I make it absolute or not, but it's not a bad habit to get into. I'm not copying the formula anywhere, so it probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference. And then the index column number is going to be, if I want the price, that's going to be column 3 of the table. So let's put a 3 in there, and again, we don't need to worry about this bottom part yet. And let's click on OK. And so if the part is A002, then the part price for that is $380.73. So it is looking it up correctly. Okay. Now, if I want to do the part name, it's the exact same formula, except I'm going to column 2 instead of column 1. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to copy that formula, and then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to paste it in. And okay, I did make one mistake here. This is not moving either. I probably should have made that absolute. And the other thing is, if I do move it down here and I'm looking up the name, I need to change that to column 2. So I don't know if I save myself any work by copying and pasting there or not. That's obviously misspelled. That's not my fault. I borrowed this file from Microsoft. So status. Let's do that from scratch. Let's do a VLOOKUP, and the lookup value is up here. The table array is everything over here. This might be another good place to name your table, and we'll make that absolute again. And the index number is, this is the 4th column of the table, so put a 4 in there and click on OK. And it tells me that all the stuff for part A002 is the price, the part name, and the status are all right there. Okay, let's take a look at some more examples here. Here's a tax table example. Here's my lookup table. And again, these numbers in the first column need to be in ascending order in order for this to work. And what I want to do is, I know the person's salary. I need to find out what their tax rate is going to be by looking this up over here. So let's go and go to VLOOKUP. And what I want to look up is the salary. And the table that I want to look it up in is this table right here. And let's make that absolute because we are copying this formula. And the column number is 2. And click on OK. And it'll tell me that person's tax rate is 8%. And then if I copy it all the way down, it looks up everybody's tax rate for me. Okay. Now, you can also, maybe I don't want just the tax rate. Maybe I want to know what their taxes are. You can also use this in a formula, just like any other function that you can use in the formula. And I want to multiply that by B2. And that'll tell me what the person's tax is. And because it was formatted as a % from before, I need to change the formatting on it. So now let's do this, and it should copy the formatting as well. And okay, pound signs just mean my column isn't wide enough to display everything, so let's make it a little bit wider. And those are the tax values. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Here's page views. And what I want to do is, I have a bunch of web pages, and they each have an ID number, but I don't have the ID numbers memorized. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out which page is which. It'd be nice to know which page is getting 49.49% of my hits. Okay. Well, if I go over here, I have a lookup table that has page IDs in column A and the page name in column B. And this example is a little bit different, because if you look at the column A here, the first column of my lookup table, you'll see that these numbers are not in ascending order. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem, but it's pretty easy to fix. What I want to do is I want to take the page ID, go to the table over here, look it up, and return the page name from column 2 of that table. Was it column 2? Yeah, column 2. So let's go back and go to our formulas tab and go to lookup and reference, and let's click on VLOOKUP. And the lookup value is the page ID. The table array, now this is fun because it's on another page, but Excel will do the reference correctly for me. It put the name of the page in front with an exclamation mark, and let's make that absolute. And the column index number is 2. And now this is where this last argument comes into play. If you read what it says down here, it says it's a logical value, which means it's either going to be true or false. And it says use the closest match. If it's sorted and in ascending order, put true, or if you leave it out, true is assumed. If you want to find an exact match, if the data is not sorted, then it will look for an exact match. There's no way it can look for a closest match if it's not sorted. So it has to, you can only use this in 2 cases. It has to be an exact match that you're looking for, and the data is not sorted. Okay, so we need to put false in there, and that's not case sensitive either. And click on OK, and it tells me that that's the home page. And if I get my fill handle and I drag that all the way down, it looks up the pages for me. Okay, let's try another one here. Discount. What I want to do is, based on the quantity purchased, there's going to be a discount on the price. And all I want to do is a simple table here that will look up the discount amount or the discount rate for me. So VLOOKUP again. And the lookup value is the quantity right here. The table array is this data over here. And the column index number is going to be column 2. These are in ascending order. And so if I have a number that is, doesn't end in a 0, start with a 1 and end with a bunch of zeros, it will still work for me. So I don't need to put anything in here. As a matter of fact, if I did put false in there, let's actually try that. Let's try to spell it right. I'll get an error because it did not find, the false says it's supposed to be an exact value lookup, and there is no 999 in the table, so it's not going to work. So the way you fix it is just go in here and delete the false and hit enter, and now it tells me if it's 999. I just came short of the 9%, so it's going to fall back into this range right here, 6%. Okay. A couple more examples. You can use text keys as well as numeric keys, and actually on the part back here, those were text keys. We had a letter in front. So what I have is I'm going to enter somebody's name, and I'm going to have it look up their phone number for me. So let's say I want to know what Haas's phone number is. I put his name in here, and I put a formula here that will look that up for me. Okay, so let's do a VLOOKUP. And the lookup value is the name right here, and the table array is this data right here. And the column index number is 2. That's where the phone number is. And now this is kind of interesting. I've got text over here, and it's in ascending order, so I don't need to put false there necessarily. So I can click on OK. And it tells me that Haas's number is 555-9222. So it's looking it up correctly. And as long as I type in any number that's on the list over here, I'll get the correct phone number. However, let's say I type in Bob. Okay. Well, it comes back and tells me his number is 3434. Well, that's Ben right here. But it works the same way with text that it worked with numbers. and that is it goes until it finds a value greater than Bob here, and the first one is curly, then it backs up one and it goes over and it returns that. So even though they're in ascending order here, because we're doing text lookup, you should probably change that last value to false instead of omitting it. Okay, and now if I try to look up somebody that's not on the list, it comes back with this little error message, that tells me that it's not available. Okay, so that's what the NA means. Now let's go over here. We'll do one more example. Go to unsorted keys, and this is basically the same example, but if I'm doing a text lookup, they don't have to be sorted. So let's do Haas again, and then we'll do a VLOOKUP for him. And the lookup value is the name. The table array is over here, and whoops, I did not move before I did that. So Haas, and then the table array is this data right here. And let's make that absolute, just get in the habit even though we're not copying it. And it's column number 2, and it does need to be false. I seem to have trouble spelling the word false. Click on OK. And it tells me that Haas is there. If I type in Mo, it tells me Mo's number is 1234. And if I type in a name that's not there, I still get the NA. Okay. But so when you're using when you look up text values, you probably almost always want to do false here. If you're looking up numeric values and they're sorted, you don't need to put anything here. If you're looking up numeric values and they're not sorted, then you better be doing an exact lookup, and you need to put false here. So this lets you decide. This can replace all kinds of nested if function calls and make your life a whole lot easier. So if you need to do a multi-way branch, like we did here, this lets us do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, an 11-way branch. And all we had to do was this. We didn't have to do that humongous nested if function call.